In this episode, I'm going to talk a bit about how to draw heads and portraits and maybe just block them in simply from different angles, different viewpoints. And something to help with this is a little thing I have here, well, kind of a life-size head almost. And it's basically just to help show you different angles and stuff. You know, like I was talking about in the previous episode with blocking in objects, how different methods and techniques you can use where drawing only straight lines. This kind of really shows you what I'm talking about here. You know, breaking down these angles rather than doing a curve. So this is a helpful tool that I have where I can turn it from any angle. I can put any kind of light on it for shading and stuff like that. But really what I want to talk about is just different ways to draw a head very quickly, just the overall shape. We can talk a little bit about where the features are and kind of some rough guidelines. They're not really strict rules you follow, they're just very general guidelines that you can follow, you know, if you're making up your own characters or something to play around with. But every person is different, you know, they have slightly different proportions to stuff. And do some sketching a bit, show you just some basic concepts of how to begin this. And later on in the series, we can go a little bit more in depth about really talking about facial structure and proportions and stuff to really get a likeness or something closer to a likeness. But for now, just want to do very, very, very basic head construction type of drawings, very simple things. So let's do it, let's get into it. All right, as I've said in previous videos, I'm using a brush pen just so that it's easier for you to see rather than a pencil, but definitely use a pencil if you feel more comfortable with that. So right away, I want to start with just some of the basic views. Obviously, we have like a profile view, straight on view, and maybe like a 3/4 or something. So one of the main ways to start out with any kind of head is to start out with a circle or maybe a slightly oval shape. That's really one of the easiest, simplest ways. So I'm going to do that here. I'm just going to lightly sketch this in. Some kind of circle shape like that. And now we don't really know, this could be any view. This could be straight on looking at us. You know, it could be anything. So what's going to decide the way that it's facing is where you draw a vertical line. And that's really going to, we want that to be like the middle center of the face. So let's say this portrait is looking straight at the viewer. So we'd want to draw a vertical line down the center of the face. So basically the eyes would be here, nose, mouth, etc. We can kind of build down from this circle. Some lines like this coming down. So this is the side of the face, and then the jaw comes down. And I'm really guesstimating this. It's better to draw this kind of stuff from life or from a photo. And I'm kind of guesstimating looking at this head that I have over here. And the ears connect out here somewhere. You know, I don't want to get too in depth into the features, but you guys can start to see how easy it is to make some kind of face or head shape by starting out with a circle. Let's do one more real quickly here. And this is a lot of fun. I mean, you can draw so many of these. And just by changing the location of this vertical line, so if I make the vertical line over here, now we can see it changes the entire viewpoint, because let's say the nose is coming down here, and then the jaw is going to come down something like this, connect there. And this is the back of the head, etc., neck, ear here. You know, it's not perfect, of course, but very quickly getting a head shape just by drawing a circle. So if we just do a bunch of these, start out with a very rough circle. It doesn't have to be perfect, like I said. You're just sketching, just playing around, especially when you're just starting out. Let's say we draw it this way, draw this vertical line. So now we have more of a 3/4 view. So now the ear, kind of where the ear is going to be, is over here, and the other ear, you're not even going to be able to see it because this is the side of the head back here. The ear is kind of behind the head. So the ear can come down here, jaw comes down, etc. Something like that. And you have the eyes coming across, eyebrows, nose, mouth. Very loose. It's not perfect, like I said, not perfect. But this is just basic concepts to help you start these different views. And what also we can do, because all these are from eye level, so now we can kind of change the viewpoint. That's a really messy circle there. So let's say we want to look down or up at a face. So how do we figure that out? It's definitely a good question. So now the vertical line is going to change a bit. If we're looking, let's say this is mostly the top of the head. Kind of the ears are here. And now we're just looking. So what you'd have is the eyes are about right here. The nose coming down. The nose kind of sticking out. And then the face coming like this. So this is we're seeing mostly the top of the head here. I hope that makes sense. So we're looking down on the head. That can be a little bit tricky, and this is where it's good to have some kind of model or take some photos, and that's why I have this head over here. I'm kind of just looking at it, changing some of the viewing angles and stuff. So I have this head. If I want to look down on it, you know, the eyes are going to be a lot lower on the head, and the features are going to be a little more squished. The eyes aren't going to be way up here. They're going to be down lower. Something like this. You're going to see less face. You're going to see more of the ear here, less face, nose coming out. But I hope you guys get the idea. If you start out with a simple circle and you just change where you're putting this kind of cross mark for the eye or eyebrows, and then the center line for the face, that really that shows you where you're looking from. So I'll give you some examples. Like this is obviously, so say this is the line of the eyebrows or the eye, and then this is that center line. So this is actually, you're looking straight on. Or it could be this one as well if you have the eyes here. But as soon as you start changing kind of the orientation of where the eyes are, you can already start to see a difference in which way it's facing, which way it's looking. So stuff like this, and like down here, you know, it's completely different. It's smaller, it's not as long. So I hope that makes sense. This kind of cross mark is a good indicator, you know, because you always start out, if you're just starting out with a circle, depending on where you put this cross mark. So let's say we have center line of the face there, and the cross mark is kind of curving like this. So now we're looking more like we're beneath the head. So the jaw is going to be something like this, and then the ears are over here coming out. Eyes are here, and nose is triangle of the nose, mouth, etc. It's kind of very rough, but I think you guys get the idea of this. That one's really, really rough. But basically, you would see more of the neck. You're looking, you know, this is underneath the chin here. So this is like all in shadow. So you're looking up at the person, opposite of this one. But yeah, I mean, this takes a lot of practice, and definitely use photos or a model or something, whatever you can. Starting out with that basic circle, basic shape, that's what's gonna be very useful in this early stage of just learning to draw portraits. You know, even take a selfie of yourself and look in different views. And then you can start building on that. And you can start doing just profiles and try to figure out, like, okay, where is the ear compared to the rest of the head? You know, usually it's like a little, almost in the center, usually something like that. The jaw comes down a little bit underneath the ear, and then it just swoops down, and it kind of straightens out right there. And the nose comes down about right here, and the eyes are usually set in a bit. Something like that. Mouth, blah, blah, blah. You know, I don't want to get too much into the features. There's a lot. There's certain measurements that you can take. Usually it's like a third, blah, blah, blah. There's different measurements from the hairline to the eyes to the bottom of the nose, bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin, etc. You know, there's all these different measurements. We'll get into that later. But just start out just playing around with constructing heads very quickly, and just get used to sketching. Get used to having fun with this, playing around, like, okay, how many different views can I make? You know, if you see that something's kind of off with them, then try to redraw it, or try to find a photo online that has that kind of view and see like what you're doing wrong. But just play around. Don't get, you don't have to get too detailed about it in the beginning. You know, just draw basic heads like that. Very basic, put some necklines there, whatever, shoulders, etc. You know, you start building on this. But I didn't want to make this too complicated, because we're in the very beginning stages still. You know, we just learned how to draw, very basic stuff. So, but I wanted to give you something a little more fun to play around with. So hopefully this helped you just understand a little bit of the basic concepts for drawing heads, portraits, faces, just constructing this stuff. Like I said, breaking it down using that circle. And from there, if you need to fix fix stuff, you can use straight lines to kind of fix some angles, you know, like, okay, this needs to come down a little bit more, or this needs to come out. You know, you can start playing around with those other techniques for blocking in things. But keep it loose, keep it fun, keep it simple. You're just learning to draw now, so don't complicate it too much. But hope this helped you out. I'll see you on the next episode. Peace, my friends.